so you're probably wondering why I'm sitting here on a hotel balcony, and that's because we are back in Cooktown. After leaving Cooktown last week on Wednesday, it is now the following Tuesday, and we're back here waiting for Gibbo's car to get fixed. So I'll run you through how we ended up back here and why we're sitting in a hotel. The reason behind that is Gibbo's car is currently in getting fixed. 1 week ago on Tuesday, we left Port Douglas and we wanted to do the Creb Track on the way up here, but unfortunately Creb Track was a little bit sketchy and very slippery in the wet, and we were still getting patches of rain, so we decided to give that a miss, and we'll do that on the way back down. We come up the Bloomfield Track, which was very tame, apart from the minivan that tried to get up and ended up in the bank. Just a few potholes, wasn't slippery at all, a few little creek crossings, but yeah, you could do it in a two-wheel drive, to be honest. So we come up the Bloomfield Track, we spent a night at the Lion's Den, which was an awesome little quirky pub out in the middle of nowhere. I highly recommend you do that on the way up to the Cape. A lot of people do it as a little stop-in, so that was really good. $15 a night for camping and hot showers, so great place for a stop. We also then headed up the next day, Wednesday, we headed up to Cooktown, come in for a look, got some information, and we had 3 ways that we could basically get up to the Cape. We could go back down the bitumen, cut across through the middle on the Battle Camp Endeavour Road, which was actually closed, or there was a North Track, which we were told was open. It goes up through Melville National Park, basically follows the coast around, and you end up in a place called Starkey and then Wakooka. So we thought we'd give this a crack, being the adventurous type, and we didn't really want to stick to the bitumen. So we headed off Wednesday and we were in for a hell of a shock. This track was the most wild bit of full driving I've ever done. It was 180 kilometres to Wakooka. 80 Ks we did in the first hour, and the following 100 took us about 10 hours to do in low range. So that's 10 kilometres average per hour. As you can see, it's just overgrown. To be honest, I think we were possibly one of the first people through it this year. You are driving through washed up riverbeds through a lot of it, especially after the heavy rain they've had here. Everything was washed away, there was ruts everywhere. A few semi-deep little creek crossings, really washed out gutters, trees and stumps that had been cut away just to let you fit through. It was absolutely wild. So to do this track, you leave Cooktown and head up towards Starkey Boat Ramp, which you can see it's not too hard to get to. There's still farming properties and stuff out there. But once you get to Starkey, which is an old cattle station, you basically lock the hubs in, low range, and you're on your own. There's no phone reception, no nothing for at least 10 hours. Now, any earlier in the season, you probably would not have got through here just due to the water levels and stuff like that. The first day we got to a place here called Genie River, which luckily wasn't flowing too much. It was a nice soft little entrance, but the exit in the morning was definitely a bit of a challenge. There was cut down tree stumps, really soft sand, so we made a bit of a ramp with the max tracks. It was a really nice spot for a camp, a few loud birds, but you can see here it's quite literally in the middle of nowhere. I personally never felt so remote in my whole life. Like, we did the Gib River and, well, we did parts of the Gib River and some other stuff around the NT where we were kind of out without seeing anyone, but this was definitely by far the most out there. So as I said, in the morning we woke up and we had a bit of track building too. It was a really soft, steep hill exiting the river there. So we made a bit of a ramp with the max tracks and basically low range, second gear, and just send it. And that's what got us up. First attempt was no good. Second attempt, lockers on. Got it, no worries. Gibbo not having a locker actually tried the first 2 times.
Drive it!
On 35 psi still. I didn't realise he was still on such high tyre pressures, but as soon as he dropped down to 25, he got up, no worries. So, if you are looking to do this track, I believe it's meant to be driven from about August onwards. I don't know if they go through and actually fix up a lot of the sections, but there was a few sections where you wouldn't probably get a 200 series through. The tree, and like there was trees cut down and all sorts of stuff that was blocking the track, or you had to fit between a washout and a tree where you just simply wouldn't fit in something like a 200 series. I rubbed my awning on a couple of trees, and yeah, any bigger than a standard dual cab, I reckon you'd struggle at the moment, unless they do a bit of track prep. So after getting through the actual track here, we got to Wakooka, which is basically a station. We got to Wakooka, which is like an old station. We then had to get down to the Lakefield Ranger Base, and we were either going to stay there the night or get down to Laura. About 20 k's down the road, Gibbo actually hit a washout at about 80 k's and bent the tie rod. We pulled the wheel off, did a little bit of a roadside wheel alignment, and got it to drive straight again. We got to Laura for the night and then had to figure out what to do next. We were going to either drive up to Weeper and try and get it fixed up there, or head back down to Cooktown, which was an hour and a half away, and get it fixed there. So we waited till the morning, which was a Saturday, but unluckily, as we got into camp that night, the sand was really soft under the bridge just south of Laura. I got stuck, Gibbo come in to get me out, I winched off him, and without realising he'd gone full lock and actually bent the tie rod even more, so that the car basically wouldn't drive. It was sitting kind of like this. So we were left with the decision, what do we do? Luckily, I had RAC roadside assistance, and I had the top cover, which I took out before we left for this trip. So we rang them. They were really good. That was probably the best bit of customer service we've had all trip. So they organised a tow from Cooktown. They got the car back to Tyre Power in Cooktown. The car is now currently getting fixed. I believe it's ready to be picked up in the morning. So we've been here since Saturday. The hotel has been paid for the whole time by them, and the tow was paid for. Basically, Gibbo's just going to have to pay for a tie rod, and it also tore the clamp off his CV boot and actually snapped the sway bar link. So he did a pretty good job, but thank you, RAC. This little climb here had a chicken track around it, but I thought it looked pretty interesting, and now that I look back, it was probably a little bit stupid to try this where we were, in the middle of nowhere. This was about in the middle of the track, but I had a crack anyway and didn't quite make it. I fell into this rut twice, and that's where the winch come in handy. This is the view we've had from the hotel as well. This is the Seaview Motel in Cooktown. But yeah, look, if you're looking for an interesting track on the way up to the Cape and you want something a little bit different, add this to your list. Do go prepared. I would highly recommend having a winch and at least take one other car with you, but it was a hell of a drive. So yeah, we've got one more night here. We're lucky enough to have a mobile pizza van or food van that sells pizzas across the road. So we're going to enjoy that on the last night. Enjoy the sunset, have a beer, and head off tomorrow, hopefully pick Gibbo's car up, and we'll be up to the Cape in the next couple of days. So subscribe if you want to see a bit of the Cape trip, because I'm sure it'll be a good one.